What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to what feels like the depths of hell here in the Midwest. It's like 97 degrees out, man. It's terrible. But the heat's going on outside, and the heat be on inside, or something like that. As it were, I told people I was going to post a video talking about my new pickups for May. And then I didn't do that for like 2 weeks. So at this point, it's like mid-June, but we're gonna do some pickups from May-ish. So everything I'm about to show were any like brand new pickups. So new records or, you know, that sort of thing. I did my used thing earlier. So these are all just like new records. A lot of jazz. So I'm sorry for the non-jazz people, which funny for me is most of you. You know, some other cool stuff, some rock, all that type of stuff. I'll get the jazz stuff out of the way first, so feel free to, I don't know, fast forward through that if you so wish. And, yeah, we'll get into it. So, first two are actually some of the Blue Note Tone Poets reissues. If you're in the know of sort of the jazz reissue series, you know about these records. These classic Blue Note titles are being reissued. They get the full audio file and packaging treatment, all that type of stuff. So I picked up a couple of them. My sort of way I approach which ones I'm going to buy, obviously if I love the artist and it's no brainer, I'll get it. The other ones, I'll sort of just scope out. I know I'm probably a terrible person for this, but I'll kind of scope out Amazon, because the reality is these things retail for, I think, $38 or $39. But every once in a while, they'll creep down pretty low on Amazon. And my sort of rule is if it gets below 25, I'll probably buy it, especially if originals go for a ton of money. That's sort of just like my general rule. But the first one I picked up is a saxophonist who I've come to really appreciate and try to pick up all of his stuff if I can. And that is Hank Mobley. This is a Caddy for Daddy. Awesome cover there. I think this was 1968 here or 1967, one of those two. Yeah, again, originals of this go for a few $100. And so great lineup here. Lee Morgan, Curtis Fuller, McCoy Tyner, Bob Crenshaw, and Billy Higgins. Of course, again, with that Tone Poet, you get that great, let's see if we can get the crease noise. A little bit, not too bad, but yeah, just stellar packaging. Sounds great. Kevin Gray at Coherent, all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's the first one. Amazing. Next is from around the same exact time, but coming from an amazing piano player, and that's Duke Pearson. This is The Right Touch. This one's got a little bit of a bigger lineup to it. A little like, I'm not going to call it bossa nova, but this has got a little bit of that sort of Brazilian sort of tinge to it, but an amazing record. Again, both of these, same sort of deal here with the great packaging, great gatefold, everything going on. Inside, great notes on the back. So, I mean, yeah, again, if people are in the know on the whole Blue Note Tone Poet stuff, you know how good this is. And again, these things, I believe I paid about $22 for each of these. So, yes, I don't like supporting Amazon. I would much rather support the label and the local store, all that kind of stuff. But when it's almost half off, I wouldn't be buying these if they were $40. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, The Right Touch, Duke Pearson, and then a Caddy for Daddy from Hank Mobley. I showed this one earlier in the month when I was doing a concert review, but wanted to show it again. I got a chance to see the great Al Di Meola at the beginning of May and picked up from the merch table Saturday Night in San Francisco, the sort of sequel to Friday Night in San Francisco from 1981 with Al Di Meola, Paco de Lucia, and John McLaughlin. So yeah, kind of the sequel. I appreciate, obviously, we get the great autograph there, which is pretty dope. The other thing too, this is the Impex pressing. So I'm not sure exactly on you know, all the details of who did it, who cut it, all that type of stuff, but Impex is an audiophile label that does some really, really great stuff. This sounds great. They were selling it for what it would retail for, but obviously with the autograph, that's just awesome. So yeah, if you're into that Friday Night in San Francisco, you know, kind of classic guitar, classical guitar type stuff, yeah, Saturday Night is just awesome as well. So super grateful to have that. This was one of the pieces from Vinyl Me Please. I am a Vinyl Me Please person, although I don't get everything, and I usually do a lot of the store credit stuff and then wait for something to show up. But I'll show this one. This has become an artist where I've loved her stuff It's just so out there, but it's also accessible in a weird way. But this is their reissue of Eternity from Alice Coltrane from 1976. This was her first record on Warner Brothers. Huge, obviously, sort of band here. If you know Alice Coltrane, again, it's so out there. There's so many sort of noises. It truly is like this spiritual journey, so to speak, in so many ways. And this for being, I'm not going to say later career, but, you know, towards the end of the 70s here, I mean, I love this. And again, I think originals of this go for a good amount of money. I mean, they're not like $1,000 records or anything like that, but did want to show off the wax here. Vinyl Me Please typically does some cool stuff. So yeah, you know, it's obviously kind of a pink with a little tinge of like creamsicle orange in there. But yeah, Eternity from Alice Coltrane. This is a great record. You know, Vinyl Me Please, they get a lot of grief, I think, and plus they got some stuff going on just in their you know, lives, I guess, for being who they are. But, you know, for me, I've gotten great luck. The packaging is great. They sound great. Most of the time, the color variants are really cool. They're using Ryan K. Smith to do a lot of their mastering. So yeah, I'm on board with the Vinyl Me Please situation, although I recognize that that is not true for everybody. More jazz stuff. This is from another audiophile sort of label, the Jazz Dispensary Top Shelf Series. Jazz Dispensary is an offshoot of Craft Recordings. So these are sort of these old school, I would say typically late 60s, early to mid 70s titles that probably didn't see a lot, if any, reissues. Originals are kind of run for a good buck, but they're always got this like out there kind of funky, jazzy sort of vibe to it. That's a terrible way of explaining it, but this popped up on sale for a pretty good price and I grabbed it. I did stream this first and it was out there, which I love, and that is Sorcery from Jack DeJohnette from 1974. This was never actually reissued, so this was like the first reissue of this. And again, full audiophile treatment here with Kevin Gray doing the mastering and all that type of stuff. But you obviously got Jack DeJohnette, amazing drummer who's played with so many different people. John Abercrombie on guitar, David Holland on bass, Betty Moppet on bass clarinet, who I think around this time he was doing a lot of the sort of Wandishi stuff that Herbie Hancock was doing. So this is some pretty out there stuff. It's not totally free jazz by any means. It's not just like squeaks and squonks, but it is some pretty out there, almost psychedelic-y type of like jazzy, funky type of stuff. So yeah, I love this. This is really cool. I have a couple of these Jazz Dispensary Top Shelf titles, but this one I was totally digging, so that's why I picked that up. And last in the jazz world, this was actually a Record Store Day title from last year, and I wanted to get it. It was one of their comps, wanted to get it. It was a double LP, but it was $40, and I didn't want to do it, so I held off on it, and then when I was visiting one of my locals, they had some leftover RSD stuff that was marked half off. So this was $20, and so I grabbed it, and that is the Black Jazz Records, the complete single. So this was limited to, it looks like 2,000 copies. Orange with black swirl. Let's see what that looks like, huh? All right. Oh yeah, these look cool. So there's the color there. A little translucent there. Yeah, so if you don't know, Black Jazz Records was a pretty short-lived label in which the records that were a part of that label go for an actual fortune. And so music was great. It was a lot of sort of interpretations of a lot of jazz standards, classics, those types of things. But originals go for so much money. And this was such a cool sort of way to, you know, jump into, I guess, the catalog without having to go find those records or have to buy individual records or all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I believe this was an RSD first. And so it might still be out there. So if you're interested in this, you know, who knows? I'm sure it's for sale for 20 or $25. But this was awesome. These are the RSD comps that I really like. So yeah, Black Jazz Records, the complete singles, was pretty dope. So, okay, end of your jazz runs. But we're going to go from jazz into some soul. So this was the, I guess, the latest release from a standpoint of a new signing to my favorite record label in the world, which a lot of you may know if you know me, and that's Coal Mine Records out of Loveland, Ohio, specializing in a lot of the sort of neo, throwback, soul, funk that type of stuff. This is a group. They're from Melbourne, I think, Australia. Interesting. Instrumental, laid back, soulful goodness. And it is the record Hold Your Horses from Karate Boogaloo. That's right. Hype sticker here, the classic Coal Mine hype sticker is a deep instrumental soul odyssey. And this is the web store, the Coal Mine exclusive. I think this is only limited to a couple hundred, maybe 250 copies. What do they call this? I don't have the name of the color on there. I forget what they call this, but it's a sort of a, I don't know, almost like an ice creamy sort of. It's not ice cream, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm great at telling these colors, but it's a cool label, or I'm sorry, a cool color for sure. So yeah, you know, in terms of instrumental soul, if I could compare it to anything on Coal Mine, you know, my first thought is like the Ironsides, but the Ironsides is this big, epic, bombastic, dramatic, orchestrated, sensory overload type of experience. This is like super laid back, Sunday morning type stuff. So really accessible, not really out there at all, but it just vibes, man. I know that sounds pretty lame, but it just totally vibes. Great job on the cover here too. This was like a cool sort of optical illusion type thing that they did with the inserts, all that kind of stuff. So some great packaging from the team over at Coal Mine. And so yeah, Karate Boogaloo, Hold Your Horses. This is Coal Mine 12,058. Released sort of in partnership with College of Knowledge, which is another label. Not exactly sure what that partnership looks like, but that is okay. These next two are going to be sort of a double shot because I have a thing when I see an artist live, I want to buy the record that they are touring in support of on that tour. And so I showed these earlier because I did some concert reviews of these artists, but I picked up the latest in the records that these respective bands were touring for Uriah Heep and Saxon. So I got to see these guys in the early to mid-May down in Cincinnati. So this is the latest from Saxon, Hellfire and Damnation, and then this is Chaos in Color from Uriah Heep. I will say both of these are incredibly strong latter career records. You know, does it sound like, you know, is it as good as Magician's Birthday or whatever? Maybe not, but these are incredibly great, I would say, later career records that deserve your attention if you're a fan of either of these bands, and highly enjoyable. So yeah, Hellfire and Damnation, Chaos in Color, Uriah Heep, Saxon, great stuff. Also on that sort of touring situation, we are talking on that same week that I saw all those records, I picked up Periphery 5, Gent is Not a Genre. So Periphery is a current, I guess they've been around for 15 years or so, progressive metalcore band. Yeah, I mean, they are pretty aggressive. They're pretty out there. I said before, it's probably the heaviest stuff that I listen to. But there's so much on here. It's complex, just insane rhythms, a lot of different sort of polyrhythms going on, very complex and complicated music. Over the top, there is screaming, there is growling, there is all that type of stuff that the metalheads love. So I got a chance to see these guys and they were amazing. So it was in touring in support of this record, Periphery 5, Gent is Not a Genre. Nice little gatefold here. I like that design. It's just kind of boring. I think this was a pretty cool wax. I forget what they call it. It's like a blue and something. Oh yeah, very cool. That kind of blue and white splatter action. So yeah, very cool stuff. Really a cool band. I mean, they're not for everybody. If you're not into like heavy stuff, then they're probably not going to be maybe for you. But if you are into some heavier stuff like that, they are a good place to go for sure. All right. And last of, I think, the touring records. You saw this band. I think I showed this record. A lot of people are talking about this band, this record, but this was one of the first records I was really looking forward to coming out this year, and it came out, I think, that first week of May. And that is the latest. Again, everybody's been talking about it. Dream Is All We Know from the Lemon Twigs. Just amazing, jangly, poppy, Brian Wilson type amazing current pop music from a couple of brothers. I will say this is the super special edition that comes with some bonus stuff. I would say most importantly, a signed insert from the brothers there, Dudar brothers. And yeah, I think the specialty one came on a, you gotta show the wax, man. I guess like it's like a pink swirly sort of thing. A lot of the other ones are white or just standard black, and there are some other specialty ones. But yeah, very cool. These guys are amazing, man. I love these guys. I love this record. It's all great stuff. And last, I kind of forgot about this. I bought it so early in May that I kind of forgot about it. But this is a band that's pretty new to me. I had their big record, and I was kind of looking, where do I go next from there? And they said, well, if you like that, you should probably get the one that came before that. And so this is the Flaming Lips, the Soft Bulletin from 1999. This was sort of in the perfect sort of transition from their older, weirder, experimental, almost like punky, noisy type stuff into a lot of the more, I mean, honestly, this record and then Yoshimi, to me, they're progressive rock records. I mean, they really are. There's so many noises and sounds going on. Just great songs. It's weird. It's out there. But I'm loving this. So yeah, I mean, between the Soft Bulletin here and then Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, man, I'm firmly in where I want to be with the Flaming Lips. I'm not sure where to go before or after that. So if you are a Flaming Lips fan, please give me some advice on that. So there you go. That's it. That is it for May. All the new stuff. Appreciate you all sticking out there. If you're in the Midwest or the East Coast or, well, places like Texas and Florida are always hot. Whatever, in the States, stay cool and drink water and all that good stuff. Appreciate you all sticking around. We'll see you on the next one. And cheers, y'all. Bye.